Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DCL Show, your source for Disney Cruise news and reviews. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends. Realtor with movingtoorlando.com, Mr. Drake Shadwell.
Hey, everybody.
Senior editor for The Diz, Ms. Jackie Gailey.
Hi, everyone.
Dreams Unlimited Travel Agent Extraordinaire, and I think that's what I want her lower third to say, Ms. Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
And Associate Editor on The Diz, Ms. Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
And of course, our wonderful hat-wearing producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
No, wait.
So originally we were just going to do one show that was back on board, right? But that show went, what was it, Craig, 45, 50 minutes? And we weren't done yet.
No.
So decided to do it as a two-parter. So this is part two. This is the sequel. This is the sequel to Back on Board. Because we wrapped up and Lane was like, okay, there's like 18 things that I wanted to talk about.
I have notes.
So let's throw it over to Elaine and let you talk a little bit about your list.
So one of the things that is a big deal to a lot of people that I know, especially when we were gearing up, I was on the very first selling, and so there was just so much that we had no idea. DCL had released a Know Before You Go, but there was a lot that was not included. And when you called, they couldn't answer the questions, and there was a lot of unanswered questions. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sell, and I wanted to sell early, because I just needed to get answers to so much stuff, so that I could advise my guests that are asking me all of these questions. And one of the things that so many people were asking about is there going to be Pirate Night? Because people live for this. They love Pirate Night. And so, when I was packing, we still had no idea. So I took my whole full costume, and it's like, well, I'm either going to wear Pirate Night at Pirate Night or be at Palo wearing pirate costume.
It'll be your individual pirate night. Yeah.
I'll create my own. So we got on board. There was nothing in the online version of the Navigator that said anything about semi-formal night. There was nothing about Pirate Night. There was nothing indicated. So one of the things that we didn't talk about on the last show is that they have seriously upgraded the DCL app, and you can chat with guest services, which is amazing.
It's brilliant.
I probably started like 30 chats because anytime I had any kind of question, it was so easy to just go on and be like, hey, is there Pirate Night? When is Pirate Night? And so they let us know that it was happening and that it is Buccaneer Takeover is what it's kind of officially called. And
That sounds like a specialty night at a gay bar.
Yeah.
It's like a special party at a gay bar. Buccaneer Takeover.
So I was excited.
And hold on. Before you start the complaints, gayest human being on the planet. I get to say that stuff, all right? Yeah.
So, one of the things in comparing DCL with Disney World is that when Disney World, we talked about in the last show, that you're paying the same price or more for what can be called a lesser experience. With DCL, everything that they had to take away, they gave us something back. They modified it and they gave us something back. So there was an exchange. So with Buccaneer Night, I was excited. So full-on costume, ready to go. Showed it up at dinner. The wait staff was in their full-on costumes. The dining room had its special lighting going on, everything like that. Now, there was no pirate deck party. However, they had a party right inside the dining room. So they had cast members dressed up as pirates.
It was cute.
Shot in the middle while you're eating. We were kind of by the door, and we could see, we're like, why is all these people gathered by the door? Something's going to happen. And they came in, and the music starts playing. They're all singing. They're dancing around. All of the wait staff is singing. They're all dancing around. People are waving their napkins. It was a party.
Yeah.
we had so much fun doing that. And then they did have a few activities going on, not to the extent of the pirate activities that they had before, but they did have a few activities going on. But it was a lot of fun, so I'm glad that they were still able to do that. And I know when I was researching it before, they were only doing it on the 4 nights. I'm not sure if they're doing it on the 3 nights. They weren't doing them. They were just doing them on the 4 nights. Yeah. I don't know if that's changed, but the last time I looked, they were only doing it on 4 nights.
This reminds me that I owe Disney Cruise Line an apology. Before they rebooted, there were a number of times that I ranted that there's no information coming from DCL. What are you doing to the ships? Tell us what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And they weren't. And I do think that was a little bit of a mistake, but it is clear to me after being on the ship that they took that time to dot every I, cross every T of what was going to happen on the ships. Yeah. And so I'm sorry. I was wrong. You guys were paying attention to the stuff that was most important. And no, you weren't sharing it. And I mean, look, I understand the frustration, the frustration of the fans. Tell us something. We were all waiting with bated breath to hear anything from DCL. And it was crickets. But now that I have experienced the product, they didn't do this in a month, right? They didn't decide in July, this is how we're going to relaunch. They were working on this the entire time. Yeah. They were working on this. And so I really do owe DCL an apology.
I think they want it to be ready. They want to, when they say something, they want to come out and have it.
Right. And stuff like what Elaine is talking about with Pirate Night, yes, the alternative. They spent their time thinking, okay, well, we can't do this. What can we do in its place? Mm-hmm. Which I'm fairly certain was not a discussion that was had at Walt Disney World. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
And, granted, all the same company, right? Disney World should be embarrassed when they look at how Disney Cruise Line rebooted this product. They should be embarrassed.
Well, I just from a cast member perspective, I know every piece. It's when you said it's the same company, but we know that Disneyland, Disney World, Cruise Line, as a cast member, they're very separate in my mind. Just because I know you couldn't just transfer over to Disneyland, from Disney World. They're run
as separate companies.
Yeah, they're run separate companies. So, it feels like, left hand's doing one thing, right hand's doing another. And I agree. Disney Cruise Line, going on it felt this is what I'd want my vacation to be like. I'm a sucker because they kept the characters, and you'll probably get tired of me saying that of how much I love characters and stuff. But it's true. With the moment they kept their entertainers and they frankly hired my friends, they had my support. When I heard all of the excitement of my friends getting contracts to go on these cruises, they were so excited. And you feel that from the cast members, from the entertainers, from the performers of they're happy to be on this ship doing what they love. And Cruise Line gave them that opportunity because they wanted the guests to be happy. They wanted to give the guests the experience that they've always known, even if it has to be different. They want to give that same level of experience. And
it's funny, but I think everything, just with the reimagining that they've had to do, they've made those characters more accessible to the average guest. So Elaine, how you're saying that the Buccaneer blast happened one night, also Mickey and his very favorite friends come parading through the restaurant on another night, and they go right past your table, and there's a little show, and they don't stand still. they don't stand still throughout the entire thing. They might pause for a second or two, but then they continue on as they process through the room. And it's just so much fun. Like, I don't normally get that much time with Mickey and his friends. Like, in a normal cruise, because those lines are so long to meet and greet with them. No, they are parading through our restaurant by our table. There are Buccaneers coming through, pirates coming through, cracking jokes and interacting with you. And it's a party, and it's really fun because you can tell, like you said, Pete, they spent every moment kind of crafting a new experience, but they kept in mind what we wanted as fans. Pirate Night is a really big deal, right? Mm-hmm. I have a friend who the family brings their own suitcase for Pirate Night. They're going on a Disney cruise. Oh, get the pirate suitcase and
Exactly.
so that they have all of their costumes ready to roll. And I look at, that's not my thing, but it's their thing, and they love it. I look at them and go, okie dokie, but they love it. And so it's less emphasized now, but it's no less of an experience.
No, you can have just as much fun. And there are people that, that's not what they want. They don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And, you don't have to. You can make out of it what you want to make out of it and have as much fun as you want to.
That's right.
So,
all right. So what else, Elaine? What else is on your list?
So I have a funny story about this one. So one of the things that is completely different is I have so many people asking me, how do I get the Rainforest room passes? And because it used to be you could buy a day pass, or you could buy a length of stay pass, or if you went to the spa and you got a service, then you could go into the Rainforest room. All of that has completely changed as of this recording, and it is now booking a private block of time. So you have an hour and 45 minutes, and I believe it's $179, and it is just you and your party, and you have the entire Rainforest room to yourself. So you have the steam rooms, you have the showers, you have the hot tubs, you have the thermal loungers. It's all yours. They lock the doors, so nobody comes in, no staff member in there, so you can take your masks off, and you have the whole place to yourself. And I mean, selfishly, I hope they keep it like this for a while because it's amazing. And it was like, so the way that you book it, you cannot book it in advance. You actually have to, we went to the spa to book it. And we did this, like, we boarded, we did our muster station drill, which we're going to talk about, and then went straight to the spa and said, I want to book this. And there was already a lot of spots taken, even at that. So if you want to do this, you do have to book it very fast. And I was talking to Pete on the phone while he was on his selling, and he was telling me about how much a great time he had and how he went to how he got his facial and all of that. I said, "Oh, well, did you book time in the Rainforest room?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "No, you can book it." And I explained it to him, and he said, "What?"
I'll call you back. And I went and I booked it and I scheduled it and then missed my appointment.
Oh
my! But it was so funny because he was like, "What?" And he said, "How do you book this?" I said, "You walk your happy butt down there and you tell me you want to book an appointment." And he said, "Gotta go, bye," and hung up.
I'll call you back.
So, and it truly was. It was an amazing experience to have. One, to be able. Again, you're inside. Take your mask off. You're relaxed. It's a lot of people don't want to go in there because it's a lot of people that you don't know, and this is kind of a weird, intimate situation. And, when you're out in the area with the hot tub, you can actually see the bridge. So you can see the captain out there with the binoculars and what they're looking at, and you can look out on the sea, and it's fantastic. So I've been telling every single one of my guests, like, this is how you book it. Make sure you book it. So that's one of my favorite things. I hope they keep it around like that for a while.
Let's talk about the muster drill.
Yes.
Because of all the things they have changed that I hope they never change back is the muster drill. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, by law, every cruise ship coming out of the United States must do a safety drill before they sail, which is where they let you know where your station, you call the muster station, is, should Titanic happen, and you need to get on a lifeboat, where you're supposed to go, what lifeboat you're supposed to get in, how you put on your life vest, and all of that. And everyone hates the muster drill because it's a pain. You want to get started with your cruise, right? So now you just show up at your muster station at a certain time. They scan you in, and then you watch a video on your own, and you're done. And I was like, I'm all in. I'm all in. I don't have to go, you would have to go to your muster station, stand there, not speak, don't use your phone. And then, of course, once it was done, there was this throng of people trying to get an elevator, going up the steps. It was a zoo. This was lovely.
Yeah.
This was lovely. Mm-hmm. And I pray they keep it like this.
I hope
It
so.
was lovely just to have, you could kind of come, as long as you came before a certain time, you would come and you would check in. You can, through the app, the DCL Navigator app, you took a picture of you just take a picture of the sign. So our assembly station was J. We took a picture of the sign. It knows that we went there. And exactly, you can watch the video on your own at your leisure. Like, there's someone there at the station to be able to ask questions of if you need questions answered. It is. I agree. I hope it never goes back to what it was.
I pray it never goes
the
back.
lines and
the
lines
fact
of
that they
people.
built it into the app and built all of that technology, I feel like they're going to keep that the way that it is. Honestly,
Do you guys think that they have a way to verify that you watched what you were supposed to watch?
I don't think so. Because honestly, I mean, we didn't talk about where the video's at. It's actually in your TV in your stateroom,
Right.
and it's just playing. I don't. There's no way.
But the verification comes that you have come and actually checked in. You actually know where your assembly station is. That's their biggest thing.
Right.
Is if something of an emergency situation happens, you know where to go. As long as you know where to go, they'll help you once you get there. So for me, if I don't have to stand pressed against someone else I don't know in the sun, I'm fine.
The sun was the biggest kicker, the biggest problem that I had with the muster drill, the two cruises that I went on before COVID. It was so blistering hot, and you're standing there, and and the older I get, the more claustrophobic I seem to be, and I never had an issue with being claustrophobic before, but I really super am now. And it was the best, because I was scared of the muster drill, of having to be packed in.
Yep. Just another something that's had to be reimagined because of all the stuff that actually might be, along the same lines as the character interactions, might just be a good thing all the way around.
I hope so.
And that's the thing, is that, some of these changes are good.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are.
Some of these changes are good.
Yeah.
Not having 11,000 people in that terminal at embarkation is good.
It is.
It's good.
Yes.
Having stuff shoved up your nose before, not so much. But,
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
There are some of these changes that are
Beneficial.
better.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Better.
Well,
And Disney is expert level at managing people too.
Okay.
They know how to do this. So
They are. They are. They are also experts at creating incredible guest experiences. They don't always choose to use their power for good.
yeah.
Disney World.
Yeah. They need to.
But you look at Cruise Line, and I said this for years. Disney Cruise Line is Disney at its absolute best. If you remember the service you got at Walt Disney World in the 90s, alive and well on Disney Cruise Line. Alive and well. It reminds me of that every time I'm on that ship. That incredible level of service. And I'm sorry, I love Royal Caribbean. I enjoyed my Carnival cruise last year. just is a lesser experience. I'm sorry. The things that matter to me, I'm willing to pay more for good service. I'm willing to pay more for an enhanced experience. And as a Disney fan, I now more than ever, cruise line is where all of those things come together and have been melded beautifully. And with the price increases at Walt Disney World, there is not so much daylight anymore between a Disney World vacation and a Disney Cruise Line vacation. There just isn't.
You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but
You're wrong.
All right, cool. From my perspective, my brother-in-law is a huge Disney fan, and I think his experience is similar to a lot of people's experience of why they love Disney. Like there are plenty of reasons, but especially when you have kids, it's a not easily planned, but like it's a plannable vacation. Like if you go to Europe, if you go to a lot of locations, a lot can happen that can really tank a vacation really quickly. That's why people love Walt Disney World. It's a safe environment. It's a predictable environment. Like you don't have to worry about a lot of factors. Walt Disney World starting to lose some of that. You're not sure if you're going to have that consistent, prime vacation. Disney Cruise Line feels like they have this controlled environment, 4,000 people tops. They have 1,600 now. They have a lot of control over the environment and they control it well. They make sure that you're going to have an incredible experience, and that consistency, I think you're paying a lot for that. I don't want to use the word guarantee because never use the word guarantee, but that assurance that they're working hard to make sure that you have a good vacation. And you don't always get that assurance when you just go anywhere else. And so I think that's what Cruise Line's doing really well.
And for those who may be finding us for the first time and don't know us, don't know me, I'm not a shill for Disney by any stretch of the imagination. I have absolutely... You go look at any of the videos I've put up online. I have no problem calling Disney out when they suck, and they do suck sometimes. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm in love with DCL. I am in love with DCL, but ask any one of my exes. I have no trouble criticizing those that I love. I went on this cruise looking for it. I went on looking. I really did. I go in with an open mind. But the only place that disappointed me on this ship was Palo. And we're going to do a separate show on that. I'm not going to go into it here. But that was it. And the last place I expected to be disappointed was Palo. This is some of the changes they're making that I don't think are a good idea. But so I just want to be clear that, as we're talking about this, yes, I own a travel agency that specializes in Disney vacations. I have done that for 24 years. It has never stopped me, never once stopped me from not just criticizing, but sometimes I go beyond criticizing into butchering certain aspects of Disney experience. Go look for my review of the Grand Floridian a couple of years ago. Still one of my favorite reviews. But
grab a cup of coffee before doing so.
Yeah,
settle
body
in.
fluid couch.
Can we talk about another change that's happened? I am someone who, when we were flying down and going on DCL, I wanted to be on the first bus out and to the port. Like I wanted to be on the Mickey bus because I wanted as high of a boarding group as possible. Same with living here. I want to be there in the terminal. Like I don't care if I have to sit and wait or stand and wait. I just want to be there already and see those beautiful floors and just that's the start to the vacation for me. But nowadays, it used to be that your port arrival time was more of a suggestion than a rule. It is now a rule. It is a hard and fast rule. And if you are there 5 minutes prior to your port arrival time, they're going to turn you around and say, "We'll see you in 5."
You can
all
forget
right,
it.
go hang out. So make sure that you're there on time for your port arrival time, not early. If you're a little behind, that's okay. They're going to have grace with you, but you can't sit there and soak. They don't want you sitting and soaking inside, indoors,
Unless you're platinum or concierge, and then you can show up whenever the hell you feel like.
Well, no, not because we're platinum. So you had to be there.
concierge.
Concierge.
Yeah.
It's just concierge.
Concierge, I can show up whenever I want.
Yes. So anyhow, just keep that in mind. It's no longer a suggestion. So be there and go through the whole process with the COVID testing, and then you get to go on the ship. And like Pete said, you're going to roll into a near empty terminal.
Yeah.
And right onto the ship.
And I'm being mocked over here. What are you saying?
No, it wasn't mocking you. It's
giggling.
more guidelines than actual rules. That's just what kept on popping in my mind. No longer, the pirate code is no longer a guideline.
No.
It is a rule.
It is a rule for sure. Those pirates.
And you know what's
hearts.
cool? You know what happened with us when we got there? We actually got there early
Okay.
because we didn't realize that it wasn't the same as our first cruise, the same situation. And so we were there early, and I don't know why they did this, but we were in the terminal.
Okay.
And someone came up to us because they had noticed us sitting there for a while. And they came up to us and they invited us to go ahead and board the ship. Come on up. I know it's not your boarding group yet, but come on up.
That's so nice.
Oh my gosh, we felt like we won the lottery.
Oh, I bet. So next fun change that we've got going on, we had the Navigator app before everything shut down, but now we have it, and it's less of a, hey, this is fun to have, to, no, you need this. You absolutely need this. You can download it ahead of time. You can put your confirmation reservation number in. It's even got a really cute a countdown clock, which is so much fun to see tick by. And it'll send you your health questionnaire the night before your cruise. You can do your health questionnaire in the app, and then you can do everything that you used to find. All the information on the paper personal navigators is now found in the DCL Navigator app. Your everything that you need. And if you're worried, you're going to show up to the port and they're going to give you this handy dandy piece of information, and it's going to step you through, if you have an Android or an Apple, how to download the app. But my advice
Look how
is
she
to
looks at me when she says Android.
or Apple.
I have both.
True, you do. That's true. But I definitely recommend to do it ahead of time. Download it ahead of time when you're on your Wi-Fi at home, and you can set it up.
But let's talk about the experience on board.
Okay.
Because here is where we run into the warm embrace of Disney IT, which is notoriously the worst of any major corporation I have ever had to interact with. And that is not hyperbole. It is the worst IT of any corporation I have ever worked with or had to interact with. And their incompetence does not stop at the water's edge, so to speak. It extends onto these ships. First of all, let's start with the 1998 AOL dial-up internet that these people have on this ship. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
And in order to use this app on the ship, you have to be using the DCL guest Wi-Fi. You do not have to pay for that.
Right.
The number of times I opened this app and it told me, you're not connected to DCL guest. And I go and look. I'm like, yes, I am. So I thought maybe it was something with my phone. And I do, in fact, carry two phones. An iPhone and a Galaxy Z Fold.
And
Fancy phone.
the sale of those products just skyrocketed.
No, I don't think so.
Not sponsored.
I was doing it on the Galaxy, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it has something to do with the phone. So I put it on the iPhone. Exact same thing. No, it's not the phone. It's not the phone. It's Disney's absolute inability to successfully implement any kind of technology without screwing it up. And eventually, I would go back and forth between phones. And when you do that, you have to reattach your reservation. So I'd have to go through that entire process to find out what time I was having dinner. And it was annoying as hell. The entire internet experience, whether it is just using the app or actually trying to get internet on that ship, has not changed in the last, I don't know, when did they start doing Wi-Fi on the ships? 10, 15 years ago?
Well, it's expensive too
Oh,
to get
God.
that.
And it's
that
absurdly expensive. When I
large
can go on
package.
Carnival or Royal Caribbean, Carnival last year, I think it was $14 or $15 a day. And I had unlimited internet. And it was fast internet where I could do FaceTime or a Zoom or a Skype call from it. It was fast enough for that.
Wow.
And it was so reliable. And I'm saying the people that brought us Poop Cruise can do internet like that, but Disney can't. And here you had these ships mothballed for a year and a half. And I don't know, maybe it would have been a good idea to do something with that crappy internet. And that's another. When I said Palo was my only disappointment, no. But that's a consistent disappointment. The internet's always been bad. And I also noticed they leave that question off that questionnaire at the end of the cruise. How was your experience with our internet? There's no question there for that. Everything else you're asked about.
A million things.
Every single
Everything.
aspect of the cruise, they conveniently leave that off. So I challenge Disney Cruise Line. If you think I'm wrong, put that question on the questionnaire. And you don't and you won't because you don't want the answer. You know it sucks. You know it sucks from the beginning. You've had multiple opportunities where these ships have been in dry dock where you could have fixed that, and you haven't. I had one crew member say, "Oh, we want our guests to relax and not use their phones." I'm like, okay, don't make me throw you overboard. No. I'll decide how I relax.
Right.
I'll decide how I relax. And for me, it's not relaxing. If I don't have access to my email, if I don't have access, I have businesses that are run online. And I don't get the luxury of being able to turn my phone off and walk away. He didn't get the luxury. No. As a realtor, did not get the luxury of turning his phone off and walking away. Now, for those of you that can do that, God bless. Just not all of us can. And I don't want Disney deciding for me that, no, you need to relax. Shut up.
And I think even more so in the last 2 years, how many people now work remote? The world has shifted to a more remote environment,
and Disney
which
Cruise
means
Line
that people will travel because they know they can still work. Like Drake, I was working the entire time I was on that ship. And in addition to that, I was trying to also upload content and information. For
you're adorable.
Which was incredible.
Right.
Your stories on Instagram, they were invaluable because you were on the first sailing.
Right.
That was so incredibly important. And knowing how hard you had to work to make that happen, I shared every single one of her stories
and
to
how
the
much
Diz.
money you have to spend to make that happen.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, I was burning through the Wi-Fi, and then I also added the international day passes onto my phone because they were only $10 a day.
Right.
So they work when you're in port and they work when you're in Castaway Cay. And so anytime, we were
generally
in Castaway,
speaking.
Yeah. So I would turn off Disney's Wi-Fi and just run up because I have unlimited data. So I was running off of that because it was faster, and I would upload as much as I can, and I would send as much. I would do all of my bookings for work and emailing people back and just trying to get as much use out of that when I could, because I knew once we took off again, it was going to go back downhill.
I got an article going up. It may even be up by the time this video goes up about the internet because they need to be slapped.
And how stressful is that to know that you have to be constantly thinking of when am I going to get service so that I can get this done?
That's the thing. It's stressful for me. I know it's stressful for you. It's just as much for me because, I mean, as a travel agent, there is no time off. I am on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was telling them before we started taping, I don't leave the house without my laptop. Like, it goes to church with me. Like, because if there's an emergency, I have to be able to take care of it. Yep. So, yeah, being in if I couldn't get my email to update, like, I was getting stressed out. So
your pastor must love looking down into the congregation,
and she's like, I leave it in the car.
Yeah,
it does not come into the building. I leave it.
Did anybody else have that visual?
Like, that's that hour. Yeah. That is the 1 hour of the week I do not look at my phone. Like, my phone is turned off. It's put away in my purse. My laptop is in the car. But as soon as they are out, I am checking. So.
They were exactly
because that's the thing. I have run out of church before and got in the car and sat in the parking lot and have emailed people if something has happened. So.
There were definitely pockets of the ship that had a stronger signal. Like, thankfully, my veranda. So I sat on the veranda and did articles from the veranda. I was able to upload pictures and upload articles in real time. But Cove Cafe, no. Could not. The struggle was real in Cove Cafe and on Castaway Key. Like, it's terrible. Yes,
awful.
I know I'm sitting in a lounger on the beach, but I've got some things I need to take care of real quick. So
it used to be, and I don't know what changed, but it used to be that you could get BTC Signal, Bahamas Telecom, which is like the cell service in the Bahamas. That I used to always get a great signal. On Castaway Key, nothing. Got nothing except some, I forgot what it was, Alive, some weird, off-brand cell service I was picking up. And I'm like, this is awful.
Which is weird. I didn't have that experience. I actually had, we were on one of the ones that was a double dip at Castaway Key. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was FaceTiming people and I didn't have a problem from Castaway Key, honestly.
Listen to us.
Oh, I know. I was able to text Pete and Jackie from Castaway, but that was about it.
And we had phone calls and everything.
Wow.
So
I'm oohing and awing because the most frustrating thing is how much I love the cruise and knowing that I can't go on one because I can't do this. Right. I can't go on a cruise if I'm not going to be able to call a client. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So now you made me fall in love with your products, but the one place you're going to fail is the thing that's going to keep me from being able to do it. I can't be gone for 4 days. It's just not. Forget a 7-night cruising. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like the amount of. I can't do that. Yeah. I'm going to have to choose to go vacation elsewhere where I can get reliable signal because this one thing, it's going to keep me from using your product.
And, to Elaine's point about a more, an expanded remote workforce now as a result of the pandemic, this is now an issue.
It's a big
deal. I think it's a really, really good point that you need to fix this. You need to fix this. This crappy internet that's been like this and been complained about for years that you've just ignored is going to have to change.
It's almost 2022. There's no reason for bad internet like this.
No, and not when Carnival. Listen, Carnival is so incompetent. They had people crapping in buckets on deck, literally on one of their ships because it died in the middle of the ocean. They have better internet than Disney does. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. They have better internet.
Disney would make more money too, I think, because more people would buy that $15 a day internet package. The thing is one time I bought the $89 internet package and it was gone entirely too fast.
Yeah, I have to buy 5 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. I mean,
I had a re-up 3 times on a 4-day cruise.
Gosh.
It's $90 each time. They give you a gig of transfer. And the number of times you hit logout.com to get out of it and it doesn't log you out, and you go in an hour later or 2 hours later, and all of a sudden, when it was supposed to be off, you burned through 200 megs of data.
Oh my word.
Goodness.
And not to mention, it's only burning those 200 megs of data in a situation like that, because when you actually want to use it, it's not available.
right.
It is awful. So it's only burning through data when you're not actually
When
using
you're
it.
right.
Can I talk
What?
about one cool thing that the Navigator app does do, though? It gives you the opportunity, like if you go to Cove Cafe or Palo or Remy, like any of the, any of the places where you actually, it's not included, things that aren't included, you can add your gratuity on through the app
Yes.
now. It's so nice and so convenient. You get a little notification that you've got an open tab if you want to go ahead and add your gratuity and close it out. You can sit there. It's so lovely because they've got everything kind of listed for you here, and you can decide, not in the heat of the moment there at the table, you can decide exactly what you'd like the gratuity to be, if you want to add a little extra, all that jazz, all in the Navigator app. So
You know what's interesting about that? That was one of my favorite parts of it. But you know what we noticed is that, like at Cove Cafe, your bill has gratuity added to it already.
it does.
So anything that you add to the app is additional, and I love that.
And
Yeah,
we have to wrap this up, but I really want to make sure I make this point. These crew members live on tips. These ships are sailing half full. These guys are not getting the money that they were getting prior to the pandemic. So I'm going to make a point for a while of asking everyone to dig deep when you're on the ship. Show these guys your appreciation through your tips. I tried to make sure I did that on this cruise, and I'm generally a good tipper, but I went like over and above. And, obviously not everyone can, and that's fine. But if you can, I'm really, really encouraging people, and I'm asking everyone to share that on their social media. Share that with their friends who are sailing. You get on the ships and you see how incredible these crew members are, and they really are. And then you got to remember, they're not getting the same money they were getting before. The reason these ships are flagged in places like the Bahamas are because they don't have to follow U.S. labor laws, which include how much they pay. They're not obligated to minimum wage because these ships don't operate. These ships don't operate based on U.S. laws. So these cast members are making a very small amount every hour. Their money comes from tips. And these ships, like I said, is a ship that can hold 4,000 people at 1,600. Their tips just got cut by 55%. So I would ask everyone that's sailing, do what you can. Do what you can. Dig deep. Show these guys your support. I always, like when I get a cup of coffee or something from Cove, I know there's an auto gratuity, and I always add something to that, always. This time, I found myself adding a little bit more. And then at the end of the cruise with your little envelopes, I tried to be generous. And just let these guys know that you support them. So, all right, I think we could go another hour, but we got to talk about other stuff. And Elaine's got a flight to catch at some point. That's going to do it for our show for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of the DCL Show. Have a great week, folks.